On August 24th, 1992, Hurricane Andrew struck the south coast of Florida with a fury so intense it became the most devastating storm in United States history. The winds roared through the Homestead, Florida area at 140 miles per hour and gusted to speeds of more than 175. When the 4-hour ordeal was over, nearly 29,000 people were rendered homeless. Another 120,000 homes were severely damaged. The community was virtually destroyed.
We were in the living room, the front door blew open, it sounded like an explosion.
Because I was inside the trailer, and the only thing I can see was the mobile home fly, pieces of the mobile home.
Our roof came off, our doors was blown off, our windows was blown out, our trees were uprooted. Everything was just haywire.
I hope I never have to go through anything like that again in my life.
Some of the toughest firefighters I've seen sit down and cry like a baby. You cannot see your neighborhood and your homes destroyed and people hurt like this without tearing you up.
I remember the hurricane, and it was like a nightmare come true, and I was really, really scared, and I'm gonna remember that the rest of my life.
The rest of the country was shocked by the massive devastation caused by Hurricane Andrew. Hearts went out to the people of Homestead, and help began arriving from around the country, bringing assistance to the victims of the storm.
I can still recall the absolutely shocking news coverage of the devastation down there and the human consequence that involves. And you can't help but feel, isn't there more that we could do? But when you think about the way really people across our whole country have mobilized help for the people in that community, I'm just very pleased that General Motors and the UAW have been an important part of that response to the problem.
We got together after the hurricane, just like everybody else, and said, is there something we can do? The UAW and GM together to show our concern for the people down in Homestead, and we came up, well, we have a trailer that we were working on, which opens up like 3 trailers, and it's air conditioned. We offered our trailer to haul things down or whatever they need, and we loaded up the trailer and took it down to Homestead.
Well, one of the problems of working in a disaster when you're trying to help people is a place to do it. The thing that helped us incredibly after the disaster here in Hurricane Andrew was to have the UAW GM truck come down and, in effect, set up a portable social service office for us.
I guess what stood out more in my mind was that the people had no place to go or nothing left. A lot of them people down there didn't have a whole lot to start with, and they just completely lost everything.
I think it had been so long since a hurricane had really hit our area, square on, that a lot of people had difficulty relating to what does 140-mile-an-hour winds mean. Now I have a good idea what that means.
It's absolutely for sure, no question about it, it is going to happen tonight. You want to pin down where this eye is going to come ashore?
Well, it looks more and more like maybe even South Dade County. The center will be very close into the Cutler Ridge area, for instance, maybe the Homestead area, but coming right across to South Dade County here.
Trying to explain what the hurricane is like is trying to explain what the color red is to somebody who's never seen it.
About midnight, the winds start picking up, the rain start picking up. Of course, the activity continues to pick up. Everybody should have had everything done they're going to do.
I often wondered what would happen if I thought I really was going to die. And having my children there, my granddaughter there, and I was afraid that I would be the survival and that I'd see them gone. And I couldn't have handled that.
When you see us move and you're watching us, we want you to move to your safe spot.
The winds got pretty strong. We're in the fringe area. We're not even in the eye wall, and our antennas blew away. Then our radar, the radome, blew right off the roof of this building. We had a gust of 164 miles per hour, and the anemometer blew away.
To the noise, it's undescribable. I guess if you could put yourself at the airport and listen to the Concorde take off and run a train right next to it, it's unbearable.
I told my husband, something gonna happen. He said, no, nothing gonna happen, you know. Like before, I just water, raining, wind. And we stay. He said, no, I'm gonna stay, sir, but I stay with you. If you die, I die too.
Do not think that you are in any way safe if you have not hunkered down and got that mattress over you, friends. This is the time to do it.
We're asking everybody to get into a position where they can be safe, not be moving about for the next couple hours, because we're about 15 minutes away from supposedly the worst part of the storm.
We have hours to go here before this is over. It's going to be very, very difficult, and you're just going to have to decide, we're going to stick this out, and we're going to stick together, and we're going to make it through it, okay?
Okay.
It's chilling that the things we just sat here and talked about a couple hours ago are happening in almost precise detail. 164 miles per hour is what the winds peaked out at the hurricane center. 164 miles per hour.
It doesn't hit home until it hits home. You get to a point where, you know, you're complacent about things, but until Mother Nature lets you know just how big you really are, you find out very quickly how fragile things are.
Well, along about Saturday, we began to have the sinking realization that we were in for something that was unprecedented.
This was like nothing you'd ever seen before, and it was the whole idea of trying to get your mind around it, what turned out to be like the damage from a tornado, but instead of a little 100-yard swath, it was 30 to 35 miles.
By Monday morning, it was clear that our worst fears were there. It was just a shock. I mean, you don't expect to see anything like that in America.
And it took us days to really cut into places to know the extent of the damage.
House after house, the entire roofs were gone. Not just the roofing material, but I mean the roof, the trusses, everything. The windows were blown in, the houses were just gutted inside.
People were wandering around kind of dazed. It was almost like there'd been a bombing attack. All the street signs were down, all the electricity was out.
And everybody's face was white, and jaws were slack, people were in tears, men and women alike, and everybody looked like a zombie.
Well, I was born and raised here in Homestead, and I know the whole area blindfolded. However, this is the one time that I didn't know where I was. And I was standing there in the traffic, just looking and staring, and that's when I realized I was on US 1, not by any of the landmarks or anything that I remembered. Everything was totally distorted.
We tend to think about things like Homestead as not happening to me. But the reality is they can happen anywhere. They can happen to all of us. And we just need to think about that kind of trauma and tragedy in that way. And I think that if we do, that's what really motivates us to reach out in the way that, that I think we've been able to do in the Homestead situation.
This could have been any one of us, any community that we have a plant located in. It could have been in Missouri, it could have been a tornado rather than a hurricane, or it could have been an earthquake in California rather than a hurricane. And I think that the feeling our membership will have is that Yes, our union reached out, and the company we work for reached out to help people, and if anything happens to me like that, I know they're there to reach out again.
The UAW-GM workers made it possible for us to function. Without their help, there's no telling what would have happened. They came at a time when we were desperate for help, and they provided not only labor, manual labor, but some skilled labor as well.
It was a sad thing, but you were alive, and that's the most important thing, is you survived, and you can rebuild your life. It might not be the same as it was, but you can rebuild, and you have your family around you, and you have your friends for the support that you need. And that's very, very important.
Now that we have gone through this, I take each day one day at a time. I don't take anything for granted. I try to live the best I can and do whatever I can to make each day my best.
The storm didn't just blow down our walls, it blew down the separation between black and white and Hispanic, between rich and poor, and we found that we are neighbors and we are our brother's keepers. And then when people from outside responded the way they did, you know, I think that it's all of our lives will be different because of Hurricane Andrew. When you look at it in that regard, we are determined to make something positive come out of it.
You can never understand what it's like until you've lived through it.
It's really scary because you don't know if you're going to live or if you're going to die.
I can't describe the pain we have felt here over this.
To create a vision of homes like matchsticks on the ground, all the trees uprooted. And when you talk to the people is when you really were impacted by what had happened.
We are very patient and gentle with each other in this community right now because we have all lost.